He's a liar, he's a leaker, and he's a leftist liberal. If anyone was not convinced of former FBI Director Jim Comey's involvement in the attempted coup from within our own government of the duly elected winner of the 2016 presidential election, I have just one question for you. Are you stupid? Look, you don't have to buy his book or argue with your liberal friends, assuming you still have any left. Just listen up. Comey's book tour was supposed to convince us that he was an honorable, likable, decent man, doing his darndest to protect the American people and the Constitution. That tour would put to rest any issues that might need further explanation beyond those limited answers inside those rigid congressional hearing rooms. Comey would hit the trail, the bookstores, and the TV studios, making clear that when he was atop his perch at the FBI, he did everything right. Unfortunately for Jim, it didn't quite work out as planned. In fact, the man is in real legal jeopardy with his leaks being investigated by the Justice Department. Not that I have any faith in Sessions and company that they'll ever do anything of consequence regarding this fiasco. But last week, you remember I told you there was nothing, zilch, zero, nada, in Comey's two-page memo of his meeting with the president that in any way, shape, or form incriminated President Trump. Just the opposite. The president denied everything involving Russia, wanted the investigation vigorously pursued, and he wanted leakers prosecuted. So what does Mr. Big do? He walks out and leaks to his liberal pal, Columbia Law School Professor Dan Richman. But he's not a leaker. Check this one out.
But you did leak memos. I mean, is it okay for somebody at the FBI to leak something, an internal document, even if it's not classified? Isn't that leaking?
Well, there's a whole lot wrong with your question, Anderson. First, I didn't leak memos. I asked a friend to communicate the substance of one unclassified memo.
Jim, you're not a leaker. Come on. Jim, you say you asked the president if you could meet with him privately to discuss a dossier because it's private and you don't want others to hear and you don't want CNN to know. But almost immediately after you do, CNN and the world has it. And you actually want us to believe you didn't leak the dossier when you say in the memo itself that Clapper told you to tell the president about the dossier and tell him it won't be leaked.
Did you or your subordinates leak that?
No.
Did James Clapper?
No, not to my knowledge. No.
John Brennan?
I don't know who leaked it.
Did you ever try to find out?
Who leaked an unclassified public document? No.
So you give a memo sent to the deputy director of the FBI, the chief of staff of the FBI, and the FBI's legal counsel, that memo, to your pal Dan, and it's not a leak? And you say, Jim, it wasn't classified, but it was marked secret, which is classified. And then you say, well, as the head of the FBI, I could declassify. Here's the problem, Jim. You took a document that was written contemporaneous to a meeting with the president-elect of the United States, advising him of an intelligence investigation. Jim, that's a crime. 18 U.S.C. 641 makes it a crime to convey any record of the United States or of any department or agency to another person. And your FBI employment agreement bars the unauthorized disclosure of information contained in their files, electronic or paper. And remember when Barack Obama hired you, you signed that you will, quote, not reveal by any means any information acquired by virtue of my official employment to any unauthorized recipient. So now, Mr. Slick, you tell us that your friend Dan Richman is a special government employee. Pray tell, who made him that? Who did his background check? But like McCabe and Lynch, you just throw him under the bus. federal regulations require that an employee, even he, shall not allow the improper use of non-public information to further his own private interest. Since, to be a special government employee, he had to be trained and then agreed to this. He had to recognize his responsibilities regarding unauthorized documents. You know, Jim, you got some set. You say it's not a leak and we should all believe it because you said it. And you're so brazen, you think you can change the rules as we go along and we'll just follow like fools.
Jim Comey has a definition of the word leak that no one else has. Yeah. What he says is a leak is what the rest of us call a felony. Leaking is disclosing a confidential conversation, which is exactly what he did.
And Jim, you leaked the memo because you were an anti-Trumper who wanted to begin an intelligence investigation, and you wanted to embarrass the president by making it public. And you didn't get the required permission from the FBI or the DOJ to do it. And Jim, you and I both know that since it was part of an investigation, it becomes a 302, which memos cannot be released. You know, Jim, my favorite part is when you say you woke up in the middle of the night and you realize that this memo would be sufficient to get a special counsel assigned. And you say it really was a personal diary. As if anyone at the FBI routinely, if ever, sends his or her diary, as you did, to the deputy director of the FBI, the chief of staff, and the FBI's legal counsel. And Jim, you say the guy you admire most in government is good old James Clapper, the guy who doesn't leak or surveil us wittingly. He's another liar and a leaker who, like you, hates Donald Trump. This bozo, like you, flatly denied leaking the dossier. He even released a statement to the public that he assured the incoming president that neither he nor anyone in the intel community was responsible for the leak, and he expressed his profound dismay at such and described the corrosive effects that leaks have on our national security. Meanwhile, this weasel told you to tell the president about the dossier at the same time that he appears before a congressional committee flatly denying he leaked the dossier to the committee. And he has the chutzpah to criticize Donald Trump, saying the intel community was under assault by the president. But lo and behold, according to the House Intel Committee, he later had to admit he told Jake Tapper, CNN, other journalists about the dossier himself before Trump's inauguration, and now he's on CNN's payroll. And tonight, isn't this sweet? As we speak, Jake Tapper and Clapper are getting an award at the White House Correspondents' Dinner for the report about the dossier, which Clapper lied to Congress about and said he never leaked, but which we now know he leaked to CNN, for which everybody's getting an award. Jim, you're part of an anti-Trump conspiracy, violating the fundamental rules of your own agency. And don't think that because you were a big shot at the FBI that you can dispel the rules to suit your own and your family's own political agenda. Power, Jim, don't ever forget it. Power is rented. And you, my friend, have been evicted. And that's my open.